Preseason will be a lot of learning. I did have the chance, and that's the benefit of the technology that we have now. Like I had regular Zoom meetings, we had senior meetings pretty regularly, and I wanted those just to get a feel of how the team was, and I mean they would be the most honest and most mature guys on the team. So that's been really helpful leading up into this. The preseason will just be learning how the guys play, right? Like you said, I haven't met him. I got to watch film, but even watching film is going to be different than watching them in person because I can't actually be there during the film or anything like that. So a lot of it will be learning what they can do technically at first. Can you catch a ball, right? For soccer, can you settle a ball? Can you do that stuff properly? So then we can work on the tactical side that I really, really want to work on. But of course, even with that, we have the delay of getting the testing back. So that will be my technical work, and then we can go into tactical stuff. So the first day that we can actually play, I'm just going to send them out there. We'll play 11s and let's see what we can do. And it'll be a big learning curve for both of us, but that was the benefit over the summer that they got to know me. They got to know my style a little bit, my personality, and I got to learn theirs as well. So that's been good. It's only affected just slightly. We have one guy that will definitely be missing. That was a starter basically every game in Will Mansfield last year. We have Cam, who won't be returning as well just because of safety concerns, and they didn't want to make the trip, and I completely understand all of that. And then I had a guy coming in from Brazil, but because of their situation as well, he couldn't get his visa and wouldn't be able to get here. Everyone else is returning, so I was pretty fortunate and pretty lucky in that regard that I got to get a lot of the international guys. Definitely the flights opened up in Europe was nail biter for me. I was really, really waiting on that to make sure that happened. But in terms of international, I got really lucky in that the majority of the guys will be showing up to campus. It's tough, but even with teams with CMU, there's a way to beat them. Now, will we do that regularly? Will we do that effectively? That's kind of waiting to see if I'm correct or not, and how I think I can beat them. But everyone's beatable, and that's the beauty of our conference is that it is a pretty even slate. I mean, you'll have some teams that'll drop off throughout the year, but for the most part, every game is pretty competitive, and that's kind of my goal for this season is that we did have a couple games that weren't competitive last year. And of course, those were against the top teams, and that is what it is. But I want to make sure that we're competing in games and that we're reckoning, because there's a big difference from like what you mentioned when I was a player before, from where we were then to where we are now are night and day teams. We were not very great when I played here, and not to toot my own horn, and you saw this as well. I was kind of the only bright spot on the team for the most part. So Prunty did a good job of furthering that, and then Blake did a really good job of even getting to the conference final at one point. So my goal with the team in terms of competing with the conference is to make sure that we further, right? That should be always the goal of the new coach coming in is, can I further the team and leave a legacy that everyone looks back and like, all right, you made the team better. And so that's kind of my goal of the season is I want to be competitive with every team. I want them to know that I'm a decent coach, and then hopefully have some success in the future. I'm very defensive, and that's been very nice about watching film, because I don't have to spend as much time as I normally would, just because we have a very good returning starting back and goalkeeper. Even a freshman coming in, Jack Gibson, will compete with Ryan for the goalkeeping spot. So I'm really, really excited about our back line. Because that's always where I start. I start from the back, and then I build out there because you don't score a lot in our games. So the priority has to be defensive, and then you can worry about the rest later. I definitely do a lot of possession. I like to keep a hold of the ball. I think in like any sport, you want the puck, you want the basketball, you want the football. You have more opportunities when you're able to keep any of that stuff. So that's definitely what I focus on. Having said that, I like to keep possession in the attacking third. I think that's the best defense that you could possibly have. If they have to dribble or play the ball 60 yards to go score, I think that's a good scenario for us. So I want to make sure that we're calm, collective, and that's why I focus on the technical ability. So when you get into the attacking third and you're running into a bunch of people, that we don't panic, right? And my guys will hear this all the time. They've already heard me say this a lot of times, is just to don't panic, right? It's watching what everyone else is doing on the field and then making smart, informed decisions where we can keep possession of the ball, we're calm, and then good things happen after that. Am I confident in Ryan? Absolutely. I think he's a very good keeper. Of course, he has big shoes to step in, and of course, I had the privilege to coach Nick when I was an assistant as well. So there are big shoes that he's fitting in, but even every player has their stuff that they're not necessarily as good at, and I think there's some things that Ryan is good at that Nick maybe necessarily wasn't good at. But yeah, I'm definitely confident, but I also want him to compete, right? Like I mentioned, we have a bunch of goalkeepers that are coming in that I think could really compete and be able to do well, and I want them. That was probably one of the first things I told the team in general is I don't want them to ever come into practice and feel comfortable, right? Anytime we come in training, I want them to feel uncomfortable. I want them to feel unsure if they're 100% have their spot, because that's when you produce competitiveness. And so now we come into the situation where we come into games that you feel comfortable, right? I've been in comfortable this whole position. I feel comfortable in the game. And I think Ryan and the other goalkeepers, I want them to be in that position where they are uncomfortable. And so especially in a goalkeeping situation during a game where you might not be doing something for 10, 15 minutes and then have to make a miraculous save, right? But that should feel comfortable for them. And I have a lot of confidence in Ryan. I have a lot of confidence in our other goalkeepers that they could be able to do that. That one's a hard question just because we lost so many guys up top. So that one's kind of a tough one. That's what I'm more curious about, where we can go up. I do have a guy coming in. He's a JUCO transfer that I'm really excited. He's a left-footed guy. He'll play out in the right wing probably for me. I'm really, really excited about him. Some of the Argentina guys that came in this spring that didn't have a season are going to be able to play in the fall now. A couple of them play up top, so I'm really excited. So that will be the learning curve of really who can be the biggest threat up top of there and who can win us the most games, really. So the guys from Argentina that were coming back from this spring be Ale, Manuel, and Matias. I've had a really good conversation with the guys. Again, I haven't watched them play yet, so I'm really, really curious. But speaking with, of course, I still have a good relationship with Blake. Speaking with him and speaking with Tyler of kind of what they saw in the past, I'm really looking forward to them. Gabriel, as I mentioned earlier, that can come up top. I've recruited a guy from Texas that I think he can kind of be a utility player for me, and I'm excited to move him around and figure things out with him. That was the interesting thing about the pandemic, because when I came in, I had to start recruiting right away, and we had about half the class that we needed to do. So that was kind of a rush, but I was happy with the guys that are coming in. They wanted to compete, they wanted to do well, and they wanted to develop, which was really, really good for me, news for me. So in general with the class and with the guys that came in the spring, I think there's a lot of upside, but it's again kind of waiting to see how they do in preseason. So this is going to sound very simple, but I think it's a massive thing that a lot of teams and coaches overlook, is just watching what people do on the field. I don't think we did a very good job of just watching what happened. So for example, the times that we would make a run, but we would be in space, but we would be making run into a defender and then trying to play that guy the ball. It'd be the same thing if I was a little kid playing monkey in the middle. I wouldn't run next to the guy that's trying to take the ball away from me. And we did it all the time. And this is no fault to anyone else, but that's just how the team kind of played last year. So a lot of it, I think, will be that of recognizing what's happening on the field. And again, this kind of ties back into the technical aspect. I think there's a lot of times that we weren't sure with our feet, so we're staring at the ball and we weren't paying attention to what else was going on the field. So it sounds rudimentary, it sounds simplistic, but I do think it makes a massive difference when you have the understanding of what can go on the field, because then again, you can have the informed decisions of, all right, there's a guy standing there, here's my 2 or 3 other options that I can do, and then we can start to keep that possession a little bit better, and most importantly, again, we feel comfortable with the ball at our feet. Absolutely livid. I'm so excited. This was kind of a long-term goal for me, and I think I probably hit every stepping stone there possibly could be here as a player, then assistant coach, and now the head coach. So I'm absolutely buzzing about it. I've been waiting for this opportunity for a very long time, and to implement my system. I had the privilege of learning under some really good coaches, especially Paul and Heather Nelson at SEMO Soccer last year, and got to see the side of winning the regular season, because we won the regular season title with them as well. So I'm really, really excited to use everything that I've learned and kind of implement the system and my style of play.